I'm Yazzi Sangari, and welcome to the Better You podcast. Remember, we're all here trying to be the best versions of ourselves. That's why today we're going to talk about self-care. What is self-care? How important is self-care? And how do you go about self-care? Remember to stay tuned. You don't want to miss a beat with what we have going on here. Our Instagram is at BetterYouPD by YS. It's right there on the screen. It's right there on top. It's also at the bottom. That's our Instagram, as well as all our socials is the same, at BetterYouPD by YS. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe right there. Make sure you comment as well as you rate, guys. It's so important to us if you do these things. Okay? Stay tuned. Mentioned before, we're talking about self-care, and of course when it comes to self-care, I had to make sure to get a guest who is beautiful, stunning, intelligent, you know what I'm saying, educated, somebody who got it going on. She got all the pizzazz that you would need. She is one of the best people to talk to about self-care. I have with me, okay, listen, and let me give out some of her credentials. You know, she's a radio presenter, a TV presenter. You know, she's a brand ambassador for a lot of major companies. She lives in Ghana and the UK. I have with me the one and only Mommy Animwaa.
Hello.
Mommy, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm blessed. First of all, you look great.
So do you. You look
like
amazing.
Listen, you know I almost wore a denim dress
You
today.
should have. It's still not too late to get changed.
Right? I know. You look stunning. I'm like,
Thank
wait,
you.
great minds think alike, because I was this close to wearing a denim dress.
Well, you already know we connect.
Right? We always connected.
Together
That's
real
my
bad.
girl. Mommy and I go way back, and thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be on here today. Yeah.
I wanted to have you on here because I think you're such an example for just being a better person. I've seen you grow into such a beautiful woman. I've known you, like 4 years now? And every time I see you, it's better and better and better and better. I'm not going to delve out all the secret projects that you have going on to everyone yet, but I'm really, really proud of you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. So what's been going on with you?
Well, I mean, aside trying to float in this whole economy, brouhaha, and obviously trying to manage and survive in this Ghana, we're doing well by God's grace.
Yes. Listen, It has not been easy for all of us. It has not been easy for all of us at all. But we're floating in there. As well as I know you are a very spiritual person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you're very spiritual. So how has that part been?
I mean, the more you get to know God, the easier it becomes. You know, when you get to know the things that makes God happy, you end up doing things to make him happy. And I mean, that's the factor for it for me.
Nice. And remember, today's topic is self-care, right? So would you say that being spiritual is a part of self-care?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the Bible says when you feed your spirit, you glow different, you speak different, you become Christ-minded. So definitely, I think it's all part of the whole cake and the icing on the cake as well. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get into the conversation. To me, self-care is just taking care of yourself. Self-care is just taking care of your whole entire being. In my opinion, self-care is taking care of your mental state, your physical state, your emotional state, your financial state. You know, self-care is a very important part of being an adult, period. You know, what would you say self-care is to you?
I think for me, self-care is about taking time to do things that help you live well and things that could improve your spiritual well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being. You know, a lot of people tend to think that self-care is only when you're getting your nails done. I mean, it's a factor. But like I said, taking time to do things that makes your soul happy. It could even entail spending time with a special somebody that makes you, puts you in a better mood. It could be eating your favorite food. It could be wearing your favorite outfit. It could be going to a special place. It's all part of self-care.
Yep,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. Now, I always like to get to what the dictionary meaning of things are. And according to the Oxford Dictionary, self-care is the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health. The practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress.
But Yazzie, I want to ask you this question.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you would say, top 3 things that you would say is your go-to self-care remedy?
My number one self-care remedy, I would say, is exercising. I love to exercise. I exercise 3 to 4 times a week. And I didn't even realize, like, the first time I started exercising, I was depressed and I didn't even know I was depressed. This is back in like 2016-ish. You know, I had 2016, I had just come out of a relationship and I was just working home with my son, and my friend Scott would always work out. Body by Bernhard on Instagram. He would always work out, and we lived right next to each other. So he'd be like, Yazzie, come with me. And I would follow him to the park and we'll just work out outside. And now when I look back, I was depressed, but I didn't even know I was depressed. And because I was working out with him all the time, it really helped me combat my depression.
Okay, so that's one.
That's one. Number 2 is I am a little vain. I'm not going to lie. I just love taking care of me. I love taking care of my skin, you know, my hair. Yeah, I would say that. Like, I probably spend more money on skincare than I do on anything else. So I would say that that's my second. And my number 3 would be eating healthy.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people actually don't understand that it's also part, it's actually very, you know, there's this saying that says, what you eat. You know, sometimes when you eat certain food or when you eat too much, you end up feeling bloated. You don't feel good. You feel even, I don't know, but I think it's very important that we actually emphasize on the fact that food actually contributes to your self-care remedy.
Yes, it is. Like, I love to drink coconut water a lot and eat coconut. And I realized that when I drink coconut, like every time I drink it, I don't know, my stomach does this thing and I end up going to the bathroom.
Okay.
But I read it up online, and actually, yes, like coconut is very good for you.
It's a good detox, yeah.
Yes, it's a great detox. So that's a good aspect of it as well. But I like to break self-care down into different bits and pieces.
Okay.
I don't think that self-care is just, like, as we're discussing, as it's just one thing or 2 things. So the first part of self-care for me, I would say, is your mental state.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's also the most important, being that if you're not mentally okay, absolutely nothing else is going to be okay for you or go well in your life if your mental state is not okay. And when it comes to self-care, it has to be a commitment that you take to yourself. So when it comes to mental, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that you're mentally okay?
I think, okay, before the fuel prices went all the way up, I used to be one of those people that when I'm stressed, I'll take the drive. But I mean, in this economy and the fuel prices and everything, I don't think it's the right time to actually be taking unnecessary drives. But usually when it comes to my mental capacity in the aspect of self-care, I like to take walks. And it's a particular time, sometimes when the sun is about to set, because it's not too hot, I'll take a walk. And I use that time to reflect, to reminisce, to, you know, try and put my thoughts together, try and recoup and everything. So definitely that's a contributing factor. I also, when it gets extreme, I like to travel.
I just saw you on a very nice trip.
It could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be expensive. It could be as long as I know I'm away from my usual settings or my usual environment, that's number one. But you know, do you actually also know that sometimes, even when you're stressed out or when you're going through something that maybe you probably want to reboot or reset your mental state, it's always advisable for you to change your environment. Even if you don't have money to, like, you know...
sometimes just going to the beach.
Absolutely.
Going to the park. Going to the beach is is more than enough. I definitely agree with that. Another part of mental also falls in with emotional,
Okay.
like your emotional well-being. That's why it's important that you make sure that you're emotionally okay. And being emotionally okay is protecting your emotions. And that is protecting your emotions from toxic people, whether it's a toxic friend, a toxic boyfriend, a toxic coworker, creating boundaries, creating boundaries around you, creating boundaries, making sure that it's okay to say no. It's okay if you're going through something and you're not okay and you don't feel like going to the club with your friends. That's okay. You don't want to take that drink. It's okay. It's okay if you're not financially in a position to take that trip with your friends. You could just drive to the beach. It's okay. So making sure that you take care of you mentally and emotionally is a priority, because everything works with our brain. So we always have to make sure that mentally and emotionally we are okay. And that's why it's such a big commitment, because you have to know yourself. Self-care equals I love myself.
Yeah.
Period. Self-care self-care equals I love myself. It's just taking care of you. It's not about mommy. It's not about Yazzi. It's about you.
Yeah.
You out there loving yourself and putting yourself first. And I want to say again, the first most important part is your mental and your emotional being. You wanted to say something.
I was just saying, you literally just took the words right out of my mouth. Self-care is basically you being a little selfish, putting you first, your needs first, your happiness first, things that make you glow, things that make you happy, things that make you, it just makes your soul smile. So like you said, absolutely, it's all about doing what makes you happy and also what makes your soul smile. Yeah.
Yep. And then I would say that another important part of self-care is your social life. As much as, yes, taking care of you mentally and emotionally means saying no and communicating well with your friends, it's also important that you still do need a social life. We all do. There's not isolating yourself is not healthy for you. So it's important to have a social life and stay connected with the social life. And a good way to have a social life is taking up a class, taking up a dance class, a workout class, a cooking class, a painting class, or just me, Donna, and Reggie hanging out at Donna's house on Friday evenings, gossiping,
in this particular context, I might just have to disagree with you just a little bit, because for me, my self-care, majority of the time, and my good friends will tell you, I think you kind of know just some part of it, but my self-care sometimes also means I just need to take a step back from people and recharge my social battery. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people also need to try and study. A lot of the time, we spend 99% or 100% of our time being around people that we don't even get the moment or the minute to actually pause, to actually think. Sometimes all you need to do is just think. So for me, my self-care remedy will just be take a step back from everyone, recharge my social battery, and then get it back up again.
But do you go to church during these periods?
Yeah, depends.
So that is a part of social life. Just going to even say, because it's like when you isolate yourself, it can cause you to be stressed. It can cause you to be depressed. So I get what you mean, as in you take a step back maybe from your friends, from regular social activities, but even just going to church is some sort of, you're still having people around you, or going to work, going to church, going to work, you're still having people around you, because it's important to stay, to communicate, right? This prevents you from being sick. It prevents you from being mentally sick, emotionally sick. It prevents you from having negative talk about yourself, because sometimes, and even sometimes when you isolate, you do have a friend that maybe
you talk to, absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So that is also important, having a friend for your a friend that you trust, or a family member that you trust, that you can have very, very personal conversations with. I think is also important.
I hope together we've learned all about self-care, the importance of it, and what we need to do. Stay connected with us at BetterUPD by YS everywhere on all social media platforms. We'll be back with part 2 next week.
Only